Hello everyone, this is Faruk and welcome to Revpanda Live. iGaming player acquisition costs are rising for operators. Regulations are tightening across the globe and big media is making bold moves in the iGaming SU affiliate space. I'm sure you all wonder how to keep your iGaming brand growing and stay ahead. Today, we are going to look for the answers with my guest, one of the iGaming leaders I look up to, Richard Dennys, the CEO of Game Launch. Richard, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you with us.
Hi, Faruk. Thanks very much for having me. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. Richard is known with his transformative leadership at well-known companies across various sectors, not only iGaming. Since he joined Game Launch in 2024, he has revitalized company culture, emphasizing autonomy, work-life balance, and continuous learning. While doing all those things, the company had a strong financial year as well. A super exciting session is waiting for us. Get ready. This session is brought to you by Pinup Partners, the leading iGaming affiliate program with over 8 years of experience, flexible geo terms, and award-winning reliability. Richard, yesterday, February 12th, marked your first year as the CEO at Game Launch. Congratulations. I wonder about your feelings.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, my first feeling is I can't believe it's a year. It's gone so fast. And if I think about where we were a year ago and I joined and I went to our offices in Marbella and I met everybody, that feels like a lifetime ago, but it also feels like 5 seconds ago.
Absolutely. Time's, running
fun.
really fast. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But myself, as an iGaming professional, I'm really excited to have a leader like yourself coming into our industry and brings vast experience from many prominent companies, including Yale, BBC, PwC, or Nokia. I'm really wondering what convinced you to make the move to iGaming.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I had lots of calls for different jobs after I left my last role. And I think I've said this before, people have said to me a few times, or said to me there a few times, what are you going to do next? And my answer was very clear. I wanted to make sure it was not what I wanted to do next, but who I wanted to work with next. And when I was speaking to the people who were hiring me, including Jonas, one of the founders of Game Lounge, we just had an instant affinity. And I also felt that it was a business and a vertical that I could bring value to. I didn't just want to go to a business and turn a handle. I just wanted to go somewhere where it was interesting and innovative and novel for me, but also I thought I could bring a lot of value in such a role. And the challenge ahead of me was that, Game Now was a good company. It was being run okay. It was just slightly losing its way. There was too much going on. It's a bit noisy. And in the end of the day, affiliates are a pretty simple process. You have some traffic and you have a brand and you have a system in the middle that counts and pays. And everything else is kind of additional. So I could see that there was quite a few things I could do quickly to make a big change.
And we definitely saw those changes already. So that's a great, and I would say tremendous work over there. Congratulations. Richard, now that you have experienced a full year in iGaming, what are your thoughts on its pace, culture, or challenges compared to other industries you've worked in?
Yeah, so I came from e-commerce and retail affiliation, and then before that I was on a few client sides. So I was on an e-commerce side, and also I worked for publishers before. So I've kind of worked in e-commerce and retail for a long time. It's a very complex ecosystem. You've got many types of affiliates. You've got all sorts of different types of verticals. You've got platforms. You have networks, ready-made networks. You can self-serve or not self-serve. There's a lot of variables within that world, and therefore there's a lot of opinions, and some things work and some things don't work. Right now in that world, you have challenges around tracking, because the third-party tracking facilities that used to be available pre-GDPR have now changed. And obviously Google and Apple and everybody else, all devices and browsers, are very particular about what can be tracked and when and for how long. And that creates individual challenges. And it's very difficult to then, with numbers of different affiliates in the click paths towards a particular product sale, it's very difficult to work out actually where that sale has taken place and therefore how to pay the affiliate commissions. So the big difference with iGaming is that it's pretty straightforward. I mean, there's an affiliate, and there's a click, and then there's a registration, and then there's a deposit, and that seems fairly linear, much more simpler than before. Having said that, there's also fixed fees, there's CPAs, and there's revenue share. And revenue share is not really something you see in the e-commerce retail world, because you have one product purchase,
Right.
and then you might get some repeats if you have a subscription model or something like that, but not very much. So that was the big change, is that an industry based around multi-year player value is something I had to get my head around. And actually, I can see the challenges and benefits of it. It's lovely, predictable revenue, but on the other hand, you never really quite know whether it's real or not. So that's the main changes, the main differences is that. So, but I'm really enjoying it, and it's, as you said before, it's been relatively easy to make some small changes that have had a big effect.
Exactly. And also, as the industry itself, it is very dynamic. There are lots of young people working in the industry. When you go to the industry shows, they are probably the best industries. It is my over, I would say, 20th year or so in my business life. I've worked in, I think, 9 different industries. This is the best one. It is so much fun.
It's very fun, yeah.
Exactly.
I would speak. You and I know each other through Leanne from Afterverse, and when I first told her I was coming here, she was like, "Congratulations, you're going to have so much fun." And it definitely has been a fun industry. It's gaming. It's the clues in the name. It's very noisy. Obviously, there's some things in this industry that we have to think about regarding player safety and addictions and all of those kind of negative sort of impulses that we have to be very aware of. And of course, there's lots of money coming in and lots of money going out, so we have to be cautious and careful about the sources and the destinations for that cash. But I think if we take a responsibility, then that's okay.
Absolutely. Richard, if somebody goes to your LinkedIn profile and they scroll, they are not only seeing iGaming related posts, they also see posts about company culture, organizational behavior, building teams, and so on. In one of the interviews I read, you mentioned something that really struck me. You said the worst thing in the world, and I've had in my career, is where you're working hard, but you don't know why. I know you really prioritize workplace well-being and promote healthy organizational culture. Can you tell us more about the changes in the company culture you applied at Game Launch?
Yeah, I think that asking the question why in any company is one of the most important things you can ever do, especially when you come in, because a business is always, they always kind of, everybody comes to work and they either like to be busy or like to be seen to be busy. The trick is to understand whether that work ethic and that industry is going towards something that has an end point. It's the same with your career. If you don't think that you're working hard in a way that's going to advance your career, then you need to think about changing it. We're not a prison, we can't force people to stay here. And I'm very, very clear on this. And I've worked in companies over the years. I think I've been working well. My first job was in 1994, which is a long time ago. And the ones I've enjoyed the most are the ones that have explained to me the point that I was there and what I was trying to do and whether I was trying to change things or keep things the same, and also the financial implications of all the things I was doing. So that asking that question why is very, very important. Why am I here? Why have you employed me? Also, why is the work I'm doing important to the company? And if you keep asking those questions, you can think on a strategic level as opposed to just being a worker bee. That in the end of the day, some people like that. There are some people that, in fact, even in Game Lounge, they're saying, look, I really like my job. I don't want to be promoted. I just want to get on with it. That's absolutely perfectly fine. That's great. But there are also people who are looking for a bit more meaning in their 8 hours a day or whatever we have together. And I think if we're going to do that, we might as well make it as fun and as rewarding as you possibly can. I mean, the line I often use is happy chickens lay better eggs. And that's really the philosophy we have here.
I love it.
Yeah, and I've worked in grinding businesses where every second counts, and you have to bill a minute to a client in an agency, and it's all about hour utilizations, and I understand that, but you're not a resource. You're not a piece of metal. We're human beings with feelings and families and pressures outside work, and we have to respect and honor that. And if we do that, I think, as we've seen in the first year of me being in Game Lounge, that translates into really, really high levels of productivity.
It's really great to hear, because I know that the managers in many companies, they actually remind their employees the reason why they are working hard with KPIs or numbers.
Yeah,
But later on,
just to pick up on that, at the end of the day, we're writing articles. We're producing content that people are going to read and feel helpful. Now, if we treat that like turning a tap on and off, like it's a machine that just pumps out words and images and videos, we'll never win, because it'll just be done on KPIs. And the people who are creating this content are creative people. And my father's a musician, and and he did very well in his life. But if he'd been told by his office bosses to write a load more notes, or write a load more lyrics per minute, then it would never have worked. And so we've got to be very careful that we treat our creative people in the right way.
Absolutely, and I really love the idea that you're championing the well-being and having a good organizational culture in iGaming industry, and I believe that we'll see more and more examples of that. Another thing I found really interesting is the 4-day work week trial you introduced at Game Launch. Recently, this topic has been circulating in many other industries. There are so many opinions about it. In iGaming, I would say it is a bit tricky because the industry is really dynamic. A lot of things are happening, and I myself feel like maybe the 5th day is necessary. What are your thoughts on the 4-day work week? And now that you have actually tried it at an iGaming company, can you give us a little bit of information about the outcome?
Yeah, of course. When I was in my previous job, one of our competitors did it, and they switched after the lockdown, or in fact maybe during lockdown. They decided to move completely to a 4-day work week, and we were very kind of surprised as competitors that why would you do that? I didn't really understand the value of it. The company I worked for, the group I worked for, was also the same. It's like, well, why would you do that? And also, if you do it 100%, then what's the value to a new person coming in? And then you'd have to probably pay an 80% salary for a new joiner. And it just didn't really make any sense. But I often thought that sometimes it would work if you're in a particular part of the year where productivity is low anyway. So that's one of the reasons why we selected July and August every year to move to 4-day work week. As it stands, even before I got there, it was a half day on a Friday during those months. And I don't know about you, but if you're faced with a half day on a Friday, then are you really going to be killing yourself to get your work done by 12 o'clock on a Friday morning? I just don't think that was going to happen. So it was a bit of an easy decision to take the experiment. So when we announced it, I think we announced it in May or June last year, everyone was like, wow, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. And then a lot of people said to me, well, congratulations for killing your business and taking out 20% of your productivity. And I'm like, look, this is an experiment. We're going to try it. And I told the company it's an experiment. So don't let us down. Don't just do nothing do nothing for a day, but make sure you're doing your work, everything you can do in those 4 days. And so what we normally saw was a 30% drop during July and August, because things like the output of content or videos or all those kinds of things, codes committed or lines of software being developed. Traditionally, over the last 5 years, we saw a 30% drop. So I said to everybody, look, as long as it's better than 30% drop, then we'll see it's pace succeeded. And anyway, it was a 20% drop. So it was, in theory, yes, we have a 20% drop, but it's a 10% improvement on the year before. And then, but from an anecdotal point of view, when I walked around the company during that time, I spoke to a few product managers, particularly one, and she was saying to me, it's amazing because all these productivity hacks and improvements that we've been trying to get in place for so many years, but didn't really have a reason to, all of a sudden, everyone's focused on that 5th day. So they're completely motivated and everyone pulled together. And then we've got these new programs and systems and processes now so that we can be more efficient. And actually, the productivity improvement for those 4 days has easily had a positive effect for that extra day off. And of course, everybody sends information about what they're doing on a Friday to each other. And it's magical, absolutely magical to see people living a life and just being happy and just being valued. And it's been so successful, we decided to do it in April this year as well for Easter. Because again, 4 days, you've got a long weekend in the middle of Easter. A lot of people take holidays in Easter, in April. So it's, again, a no-brainer. So this year we have April, July and August to do the same thing.
All right. So if I visit Malta and go to your office in April, I'll make sure I won't book the meeting on a Friday.
Well, you can, but I mean, some people will be here, but not very many. I mean, there are a couple of, obviously in critical infrastructure products, we need to have people 7 days a week, but right. And then they share it. But most people are having the Friday off.
Yeah, and I love the part that it seems like your team really pushed for some innovation for the productivity, and
Yeah.
apparently you actually hit that. So that's really a great output. Talking about game launch, we can't skip the big news about your recent product, Kicker. So I've got also the T-shirt on me, thanks to your team gifted me at IGB Affiliate in Barcelona. It's a platform where you can run your iGaming affiliate management. We had a short chat about it at your booth during IGB Affiliate. I think Kicker seems like a great move toward making things smoother for affiliates and operators. What was the turning point that made Game Launch say, okay, it's time for Kicker? What gaps did you identify that the current solutions weren't addressing?
Yeah, I don't think it was a case of that. Obviously, I came from a company called WebGains, and they were an affiliate network. So we had multiple thousands and thousands, I think 50 or 60,000 affiliates in our network. And the key value proposition for having a network like that is of course about service levels and all those kinds of good things, but it's also a single to many relationship. So you have one operator, or in that case, one merchant advertiser. They make one payment, and that payment then gets spread out to hundreds or thousands of different affiliates. And from the other side of the marketplace, you have the affiliates that can log in, they can select programs, they can optimize their media, they can make sure the ECPMs are as high as they possibly can be, and they can get tips on benchmarking. And that's something that when I was first doing my research into iGaming seems to be very lacking. Yes, of course, you have the platforms that everybody knows in this industry, but my first impression on those is they're pretty old school. I mean, they're even now, especially now when I'm working with an affiliate and we're having to write Python scripts to scrape data from some of these platforms on an automated basis. It just blows my mind. I can't believe that these platforms aren't taking an affiliate first approach. They're all trying to keep the operators happy, but not caring about the affiliate. And I'm really surprised about that, because obviously where I came from, affiliates came first, and everything we did was to make sure the affiliate was making as much money as they possibly can and getting paid on time and all those quite good things. Because at the end of the day, we're giving a promise. We're offering our traffic to people in advance of being paid. So we take the risk. So Kicker was really always in my mind, even when I was talking to the company on the way in. I spoke to a couple of platforms. I mean, I'm friendly with the SellExpert guys, and I had a chat with Asaf, and he was explaining to me how the sub-affiliation and sub-networks work in this industry. And I was thinking, wow, there must be a better way than that, than having a field in a table. Came in and that it was an obvious choice. And then we were contacted by a couple of people that were working it already. We brought them in, and I think you met them in the stand. And it's so far good. We were in stealth for 6 months as we built it, and we did all the plumbing. We have our own native system internally that we've built it on. We're not having to bring any third-party systems in. And now we are literally turning the handle. So we're bringing campaigns in week on week. We've got a great functioning team. We've got a lovely brand with lots of nice merchandisers you're very kindly wearing today to promote. And Kicker is, it's not something that we're using to bet our future on, but it's just something that's easing the wheels between operators and affiliation. And we've got a market and brand power that we can negotiate good deals with tier one and lots of, I think we've got 8,000 operator deals. It means that they can access a lot more traffic without having to go a lot more operators and pay a lot more people. And, we can make promises to each other that we can actually keep. So that's really the idea behind Kicker.
It sounds really exciting. Richard, I feel like we can break it down into two different segments. As you know, operators and affiliates are watching our show. And for operators, traffic quality and ROI tracking are critical. For affiliates, it is mostly managing multiple programs across different platforms could be the crucial reason to adopt such a product. So if you can break it down into those two different segments, how Kicker can help to operators and affiliates.
Yeah, so like I was saying just now, the operator value proposition is really a single to many relationship. We're handling all the KYC, we're handling all the checks and the balances on the affiliation, because clearly traffic can be a grey old place. There's all sorts of interesting people working in affiliation, and we can be the quality control on that. So it just means an operator can trust us with their deals, and when obviously they do bring registered users in, that quality is high, and they can have a nice lifetime value from it. So that's really the main idea. And obviously we're building, as time goes on, interfaces that are going to allow all sorts of data exchanges, API endpoints, so that we can seamlessly integrate into their systems if we need to. And then from the affiliation point of view, if you're an affiliate, we're contacted all the time. I mean, on that stand, we must have had 200 or 300 small affiliates that are looking for decent deals. Because if you go to the Leo Vegases or the Commons or, all these kind of big operators, the last thing they want is to be paying €5 or €10 to someone and then have all the issues, invoices and you haven't paid me yet, all that stuff. They just don't want that. So the affiliates come to us and we make sure that they can see all their data. If there's any payment queries, we handle that for them. It just means we just take a lot of hassle out and a lot of friction out. So we offer them the best ECPM rates because of our size, and to be paid on time. That's another big thing.
I actually booked a meeting for Thursday with your team, so I'm so excited to check the demo account, and I'll come back to you with my impressions.
Great, lovely, thank you.
Richard, let's shift the gears a bit towards our core topic, if you like. We have growth struggles in the market, and there might be some ways to get out of them. So let's discuss maybe on that a little bit. We can start with the iGaming SEO affiliates. Competition in iGaming SEO has never been easy, but this year it feels like affiliates are fighting an uphill battle. We have seen big media outlets, giants, let's say, stepping into the iGaming space, leveraging their domain authority and massive content teams. Now running an iGaming SEO affiliation business, I think you're one of the best people to ask it, is really tough, and maybe we can touch base on that a little bit. Can smaller affiliates still compete, or is the game shifting in favor of those with the deepest pockets?
I don't think it's deepest pockets. That's my first thing I'd say. I think it's about offering as much value as you possibly can to players. The reason we're in business is because people are searching for, they have a need, they're searching for something. A lot of our business, I mean, many affiliates are looking to Google for their primary source of traffic, whether that's paid or organic. Obviously, an organic traffic source is the valuable thing. Everybody is up against the big platforms. Obviously, Google's invested in Reddit, and there's some of the other ones, obviously, even things like Wikipedia.
Right.
And so we're all against that. But if you can have accurate, timely, helpful content that's regularly updated and feels very, very valuable, then that's going to be a winner. And in terms of small affiliates, well, we just bought a small affiliate. We would call a small affiliate in the Netherlands 6 months ago. They're just 2 people, but what they're doing is they're writing really interesting pieces about the industry that they're working in and their market that they're working in, and then they're keeping everything literally up to date by the second. So Google can see that when somebody lands on their site, they get the click and they get the engagement, and therefore it's a valuable site. Right. And I think that's the thing to remember. And if you're going for quality, that's going to be way better than quantity. But if you can do quantity of quality, then that's also where you can start to win, and not worrying too much on it by update, because Google's algorithm is changing the whole time. There's a series of algorithms we know about, and there's probably a load of series of algorithms we don't know about. Things like authorship score, things about, do I trust the writer of this? If I look at our roster of writers, we're very, very careful and cautious about bringing in people or promoting them to be really knowledge centers on some of these things. And if you look at now, I mean, we'll talk about this in a minute, I think, the way the industry's shifting into crypto casinos and social gaming and all those kind of things, the trust is not there. We don't know what's going on. We don't know who these people are. And therefore, the role of the affiliate and as a helpful guide and critical friend, especially in something as controversial as gambling, slots, and sports betting, there's never been a more need for accurate, relevant, trustworthy content than there is now.
Well, this is really well said, Richard. And also, we noticed in our industry that a lot of affiliates are going a bit extra mile when it comes to the content, but they do over optimization. So instead of gaining that trust, or instead of, let's say, creating a community, building a community, they actually just go for those filler words, optimized words, and everything else. Yes. So I think
Yeah, I
the
mean,
approach.
there's a number of players that you're talking to, right? So
Yeah.
there's people who are, I suppose, they're playing on a regular basis and they know what they're looking for, and they like trying new games, and they're operating in a safe way. And then you've got the bonus hunters who are just looking for free betting. And, it depends what you're looking for. If you want those former and latter, then, it's just about really delivering that. And also, if you're just over optimizing, I think that's a good way of putting it. And we know the people in the market that are doing that, and we can see there's been lots of press about that recently. You can play that game, but it's really exhausting. If you like that world, then lovely. If you like really big roller coasters where you're the top of the world and then you're the bottom of the sea day by day, that's great. But that's a very difficult business to run and plan and think about, and also motivate your staff. So we're not really like that. And in fact, I've said a few times, one of the successes for the last 12 months is we've gone very boring. I like boring businesses. Affiliate is a kind of boring world if you get it right, because you plumb it in and you wait for the money, and it's set and forget. This will never be a set and forget industry, but boring businesses are good because they bring cash in and they give you financial security. And I'm not saying that we're a boring business, but we've gone boring. So therefore, we're not interested in, we want to be the top of everything today, but then the bottom of everything tomorrow, and then the top again the next week. That's just not where we are. We're building sustainable growth, and that's doing us what, especially in SEO iGaming. It's so difficult to do that. And so we've got a broad portfolio of really good people across some solid markets, and that's really what we're looking for.
I think so. I believe the relevancy with the content that you have for the players, and also having the content localized, these are like very important drivers, rather than having more content or trying to do over optimized content. These are the, I would say, most important aspects that we need to look at. Talking about SEO,
I think on that note, just to pick up on that, Google is smarter than everyone thinks, or rather, Google's always been smart, but people have just kind of dumbed down and think, well, I can do 5 things and therefore I'm going to win. It's their business model to make sure that we don't know how they work. That's exactly how they are doing it. That's why they've got algorithms here that don't really always tell you what's going on, or they'll tell you something that doesn't happen. It's their interest to be in smoke and mirrors, because otherwise, if anyone can do it, then they would all do it. And so we just need to bear in mind that just forget about it. Just write great content for people, and that's going to help them not lose too much money and have fun. Then that's going to go a long way.
Yeah, so writing content for people, and I would say also human generated content is also important, because we have done a lot of tests on our end at Revpanda agency, and we noticed that the human generated, relevant, and localized content really makes a difference. So we go with that. And a lot of our partners, when the AI craze just started, they were coming to us and they were saying, oh yeah, well, we'll do the content with AI. Okay, sure, good luck. And then later we saw some updates, as you know very well, the core updates happened. And we are having more and more brands and affiliates coming to us for content. So very well said. I want to follow up on the SEO part that you touched base. Do you see any shift happening towards alternative traffic sources from SEO?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we see social casinos exploding. If you look at Telegram now, you can see how much traffic's in there. If you look at some of the Telegram gaming companies, 10 million monthly views. I mean, there's monthly users. It's absolutely exploding, and it's a negative consequence of regulation, is my personal view. I mean, I'm all for player safety. Listen, player safety is number one in our world. Unfortunately, a lot of regulation is kind of not helping that, and we can see it clearly because we can obviously see traffic flows and what's happening. And markets tend to be, maybe it's because they just don't like the idea of gambling, or they like the idea of making more money through taxations or whatever it might be. But we see every single new thing that's coming into a marketplace which adds friction into online web browser-based gambling, is not slowing it down. It's not making it safer. It's just pushing it instantly into crypto, Telegram, other social media. So we all have to go chasing that. That's just what's going to happen. And unfortunately, I don't like it. It's not good for people and humans at the moment, because you're pushing them into an unknown soup. Clearly, that's going to mature as time goes on, and we'll see what happens. But once people are betting with cryptocurrency and whatever they might be in their tokens, it's almost impossible to get them back. And the other thing is the age profile for those social channels is really young.
Right.
So if you are hoping to keep people under 25 safe from harm, regulation, unfortunately, is doing exactly the opposite thing.
Yeah, well, these are the things right now really rising as trends. And I want to ask your opinion, your calls. Maybe we can call this like predictions for iGaming affiliate industry for the next couple of years. What do you think will change the game for iGaming affiliates?
Yeah, you can see it. I mean, there's some noises from ICE recently where some of the kind of licensed operators are complaining about the amount of unregulated businesses in the halls. At the end of the day, it's a marketplace, and if people are paying to be there, they're going to appear to be there. There's nothing you can really do about that. Again, player safety is the most important thing. So people like Bet Blocker and what they're doing is laudable. That's exactly what should be happening. But again, if you're on Telegram, that isn't going to get caught. And I think the big shift, and we can see it happening, the big shift is happening this year, and it'll be this year, next year, and as time goes on, is more and more people are going in. I mean, if you think about it, if you're playing and all of a sudden to win anything, you have to send them 10 copies of your bank statement, and you have to let them have open banking and all these kind of things, or you're 2 clicks away from doing the same thing in social media, then which way are you going to go? This is the way it's pushing. And again, I keep reiterating, player safety is the number one concern. We don't want an industry that's just driving people into destruction. That's just not what we want. It's not in anyone's interest to do that. However, if the solution of a government or a regulator is to say more regulation, all they're going to find out is everyone disappears into these non-geographical, open. They're only guided by language. There's no geographical limits on these things. They're just going to go in there. That's just where it is. People are saying on a market by market, what are you doing about crypto casinos? There is no market. They're just there. I mean, the innovation is amazing. I think they're incredible, and that's the dangerous part of it. If it's not regulated, it can never be regulated. In some markets right now, they've banned the ability to use bank accounts to fund gambling. Instantly, overnight, it turns into crypto. Everyone goes and buys tokens and gambles with it. So I think there's a new generation of regulatory fervor that needs to be thought about, and certainly we're putting a lot of efforts into how player safety should work, and we'll be talking with a lot of the player safety experts in the coming months about that.
So the innovation or all these trends are welcome as long as they stay around the player safety. So this is what I understand from the wise words that you just mentioned, Richard.
Yeah.
If you like, we can move from affiliates a little bit towards the operators part because they have also, a couple of new challenges, especially this year.
Yes.
Now, as you know, launching an iGaming brand is super easy from the technology point of view. So it can be just even a couple of weeks and you have a platform. But on the other hand, the player acquisition costs are really going up. You have got tightening regulations you were just mentioning, and the competition is really fierce. And you just talk about the crypto casinos that are really directing the revenue to different, like, let's say, unregulated parts of the market. And when the new operators, they come out, especially those new ones or those who have limited budgets, they cannot really take the risks and afford experimenting different acquisition channels. And they see the affiliate traffic as a shortcut to player acquisition. But not all affiliates are created equal. So some of them are doing a great job and some of them, they just fail. Based on your experience, Richard, how can a new operator build an iGaming affiliate program that attracts serious, high-quality partners instead of just chasing volume?
Yeah, it's really difficult. I don't think there's any short and easy way of doing it. Obviously, if there was, then everybody would be doing it. We have, as I said before, we've got a lot of traffic. We're doing, 180,000 FTDs a year. That's going up very rapidly as we increase our penetration to different markets we operate. Now, that obviously takes traffic to convert, and that traffic is something we spend a lot of time, energy, and money on. And what we're expected to do is to give that traffic to somebody with the promise that they're going to turn that into an affiliate commission. So we have to be very cautious and careful about who we work with. We need to make sure that, number one, they're going to pay us. So that's, if we find out that we've got an operator that is slow on paying, then that's something we're not interested in. If we can't work out who they actually are, obviously we've got AML restrictions and KYC restrictions. We want to make sure that, as a point of view of getting paid, that is very important to us. And we also need to know that the conversion rates, if we do send that traffic your way, are going to convert into commission. So we are quite picky on that, and that does tend to offer a bias towards the partners that we're very familiar with and we know them very well, and we trust them and everything else, and we're not going to get shaved by them. They're going to treat us properly, and that's important. Sometimes that breaks down. Sometimes we have a problem with where somebody says, I can't pay you, or whatever it might be, and then we have a conversation. If we think that's going to be a game changer, then we'll change it. But for a small affiliate that's starting for the first time, it's important. All of these things are based on personal relationships. Affiliate's one of those industries where if we don't know who you are and you just come through the door and say, I've got a great deal here, we're going to pay you masses, but we don't know who they are, we can't find out who they are, then that's never going to be a thing. If we meet at a show or they give us a call, or we know them, or we trust them, or somebody that we know goes to work for them, then that's much easier way of building trust from day one. And then there's a much better way of doing it. And not every market we've got enough traffic in. Obviously, we're very strong in Europe. We're doing well in Latin America, and we don't really do the US. But some markets we don't have enough traffic anyway, but a lot where we do, we are very, very careful about what we do and trade that traffic. Does that help?
Absolutely. The trust point is very important, and we can build that trust by delivering the work and also having those in-person meetings. You are very active at iGaming events, so you go to a lot of different events with your team. So I think these are like good grounds to meet the partners.
It's very hard to do. It's very hard to do a purely revenue share deal from a brand we've never heard of or just launching. So if we're working with somebody in a different market and we can move them to a new market, that's much easier than saying, well, here's a brand we never heard of and we want a long-term revenue share with fantastic CPAs. But if we're never going to get paid, we're not interested in that.
Absolutely. And I love what you said about the conversion rates, because come on, I mean, if you don't have good conversion, affiliates will not work. So brands really need to work on their conversions.
And that comes down to brands. If a player doesn't know who you are and doesn't trust you, it's the same as anything. It's the same as an e-commerce brand. It's all very well giving you traffic, but if never heard of you, there's no trust there. Even with our brands, if I think about our brand, Sphere Casino in Sweden is the #1 affiliate in that market. It's a very, very powerful market. They spent a long time building that trust up. They've spent a long time on brand advertising above the line. It's not just about that quick FTD. That's about long-term sustainable brand trust. And the more you can build that, the stronger you become. And also from a Google point of view, people are searching for you by brand name, clicking on you. They can see the behavior. Google trusts you. And that trust is so important in an industry like iGaming. And if you don't value that, then you're not going to last very long.
What you said is precious. So when the brands, they come out, they immediately go for affiliate traffic, and they just forget about the investment for their own brand. So they need to be out there. They should be visible to the players, and then they will build that trust. So it's kind of a flywheel that will really support each other at each step. So maybe when they just start, it would be a good idea to go for some brand protection strategies, like covering their branded keywords and so on. That might be also important for them.
Or even above the line, even stuff that you can see them in the real world. I mean, I know that we're all digital brands, but if you can get that word of mouth going and people can really see that I don't know, the RTP is high, or there's some reason why somebody's going to come back again, then we're very interested to deal with those kind of brands.
Absolutely. So you work with those new operators or smaller operators, let's say, but also a lot of your partners are established brands. We know that sometimes those established brands, even they hit a plateau where the growth slows down, and sometimes it feels like it is impossible to scale further. The affiliate programs that applied certain strategies like 5 years ago, they don't necessarily really work right now. So I was wondering your opinion on how those mature brands reactivate and evolve their affiliate partnership to drive fresh traffic and more FTDs.
Yeah, I mean, this is where Kicker comes in. So this is really what the idea of Kicker is, and it's a kind of acquisition partner. So you might have an acquisition agency for your PPC, but also you can treat Kicker like an acquisition agency for an affiliate. And that's really where we want to strategically place this. We want to talk to an affiliate manager to say, look, don't worry about any of your affiliate traffic, or if you want a new market, just talk to us about a new market, because even if we're not in it Now we can find affiliates for you, and obviously there's a revenue share and there's a slice of the money, and you know that we all win. It's a really the whole point and purpose of Kicker is to try and allow that traffic scaling without having to go to 50 shows a year and meet all sorts of people and go through the KYC process, blah 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 blah. I think that's something that I would sort of highlight in this talk. That's really why Kicker's been put in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are like two parts of this equation. So the one part is the operators, as you were talking about, and they often complain about traffic quality. The other part is the affiliates, obviously, and they sometimes say that the rev share models don't always work in their favor. So there's some kind of like traffic-based tension between them. Since you are in the business, in the heart of the business, do you think expectations are misaligned or the affiliate partnership models are outdated?
I don't think the affiliate partnership model is outdated. I think if you get that working, everyone's working for each other. You know, affiliate means you're a sales representative of a brand to a customer. So I really believe in that. And it's the oldest, even when the internet was just born, the first model that was commercial model was an affiliate model. I don't think that model's outdated. I think that's going to carry on. In terms of inflated expectations, yes, of course, because if you look at it from either side, if you think, well, great, I don't have to spend any money and I only pay money when I make a sale. I love it. Let's put all of our budget into that and let's do it. And then of course it never works like that. And from an affiliate point of view, it's like, well, okay, I'm just going to plug into this system and I'm going to talk to XYZ brands and they're going to pay me a fortune and I'm going to sit on the beach and have a lovely time. Again, it doesn't work like that. So managing expectations and being pragmatic and realistic is very, very important. And that's why experience counts. If you're not an experienced affiliate manager or publisher manager or anybody that knows how it should work and what the levers are you need to pull to make these things go, especially on that conversation earlier about branding and brand recognition and conversion rates, I think you're going to be in for a disappointing first year or so. And eventually when you get your head around it, it's called a marketing mix. You need to have a mixture of channels and you need to have a mixture of messages and you need to be very strong on what you're standing for. If you get that, then affiliate is the best channel by miles. I mean, it often even in e-commerce, they talk about a 13 to 1 to 20 to 1 return on investment if you get it right. I don't know what it is in iGaming, but I can imagine it's very similar.
I think at the first conversation, even between operators and affiliates, it is very important to set the expectations, as you say, and also with this occasion, maybe let's mention about the importance of training of affiliate managers or affiliate teams.
Yeah,
that's definitely something.
Absolutely critical. And Web Games, I set up an academy just to try and make people understand some of these important points. How to run a program, what a gap analysis looks like, you know, what are acceptable conversion rates, how do you get ROI, all of these kind of things. What should you even put commissions on? Because obviously, if you're selling products, some high selling stuff that's going to sell anyway, you shouldn't really put through affiliate. But if you've got stuff you need to shift and you can put discounts into, then clearly that's it. In iGaming, it's different. It's a virtual product, so you're not shipping anything. On the other hand, a lot of people talk about lifetime values and rev shares, and the trouble is with this, and this is something that I've come in, and maybe this is not a very fashionable thing to say, but we don't want to be forcing anyone to gamble. That's not something we want to be doing, right? We don't want to be going around saying, why haven't you gambled this much this month? Why aren't you gambling more? I know that that's obviously the business model, but that's not really the message we want. We want people to say, if you're going to do it anyway, then this is the safest and more efficient way to do it. So yeah, I think that's the message I would definitely say.
Definitely, and these are like golden advices over here, Richard, for like multiple teams in the organizations for both affiliates and operators. As we are approaching to the end of our conversation today, Richard, I just want to mention last week I saw on my LinkedIn feed a media company actually featured you, one of the iGaming LinkedIn profiles to follow. I'm not really surprised because I'm closely following your posts whenever you have the chance to put a content, and it really stands out. And you actually focus on practical advices like team building frameworks, some one-pagers about startups, some tips for founders, and so on. With your passion for sharing these insights, what's the one piece of advice you would give to the future iGaming leaders?
Oh, I mean, I looked at this. This is a really difficult question. I think the thing is focus on the things that matter. being busy is not a solution to success. And the reason I post that stuff on my LinkedIn post is, and it's not just iGaming this and iGaming that, because the world is big, and there's a big danger that everyone exists in an iGaming echo chamber, and that's really dangerous. Even with my team, I say to them, listen, how many external meetings have you had this week? How many meetings have you had with people that aren't in iGaming? Because there's a whole bunch of things you can learn from everybody else. And that's probably my thing is, my one lesson is just don't stop learning. I've got a mantra in my life that's never stop learning. And don't just keep learning from everybody in front of you. Get out of your comfort zone, get out of the industry, get out of your country, find out, because there's somebody doing something better than you're doing, and you just need to discover what that is and then apply it to your own life. And I think that's what I just say, just keep discovering, never stop learning.
Amazing advices here today. Thank you, Richard. Is there anything you would like to add before we wrap up the show?
No, just it's a fascinating industry. I've really had a great year. It's been far in excess of what I thought it would be, and I just also realised the more I've learned about it, the more I realise there's so much more to learn. It's just one of those industries. It's changing rapidly. We all need to be very aware of what that might be, and make sure it doesn't drag us down into the dark side. I mean, that's really what we need to do. We're here to help people, like I said before, have fun and not lose too much money doing so. And that's really what an affiliate should be in iGaming. And that's the only thing I'd like to leave on, really.
Richard, this has been an insightful conversation, and I've been really looking forward to today's chat. Thank you for sharing your expertise, shedding light on some of the challenges and opportunities that you see in iGaming industry. We talk about the company culture, innovation, some strategies for affiliates and also operators, growing the market, and so on. A lot of topics that we covered today. Regarding the Kicker and also Game Launch, how do you think our viewers can reach out to you? I know you're very active on LinkedIn, but also you have got the website done also for Kicker recently. So maybe you can guide us on this.
Yes, I mean, you can either find, obviously, gamelounge.com is our main domain. If you go /GLX after Game Lounge, you'll see some of the brands, including Kicker. And then we also have a website, kicker.com, which is KIICKR.com. It's a kind of it's a website just for the shows, but we'll be developing as time goes on. But thanks very much, Faruk. It's been really interesting to talk to you, and it's always nice to catch up with you.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. And everyone, I hope you found this session valuable. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and follow us, follow Revpanda for more industry highlights. Once again, this session is brought to you by Pinup Partners. Make sure you visit their booth if you head to Affiliate World Conferences in Dubai. And I'll see you at the next Revpanda Live. Thank you.
Thank you very much.